This is my favorite part of the year. It's bracket season. March Madness is right around the corner. And in honor of the 64-team basketball tournament coming up here soon, I want to go over the 64-team hypothetical football tournament would look like for the 2023 season. And it's going to be the same as basketball. All the FBS and FCS conference champions will get an automatic qualifier. The rest will be seeded according to their resume throughout the entire season. Let's get right into it, guys. With the first matchup, we're going to go to the Midwest. And the number one seed in this and the number one overall seed in this whole tournament is Michigan Wolverines. 13-0, finished 3 consecutive Big Ten championship, beat Iowa, beat Ohio State and Penn State on the stretch. They were well deserving of the number one overall seed. They will face Drake out of the Pioneer Conference, 8-3. So they'll go to Ann Arbor for the first round matchup. 8-9 matchup going down the list. West Virginia out of the Big 12 finished 8-4. Had a pretty easier strength of schedule, but still got the 8 wins. They will host the Tennessee Volunteers, a 9 seed. Kind of went down from last season at 10 wins. They got the 8, but still get a decent seed. At the 9, they will face the winner of Michigan and Drake. Going down the list, Oklahoma State gets a 4 seed. After a debacle in the Big 12 championship, they still get a top 4 seed in this tournament. They will face the Memphis Tigers out of the American. 9-3, had a very easy strength of schedule. A couple of bad losses. Still got the 9 wins, though. Get them a 13 spot and one of the last teams in this tournament. The 5 seed goes to Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Got a pretty good start. Had some close losses in the season. Had a pretty big win over USC. Still got to 9-3. Got a pretty good seed at 5. They will face California Golden Bears, a 12 seed. Again, one of the last teams in this conference, in this tournament. They will go to South Bend for the first round. Now in the bottom half of the bracket, we got the 2 seed Oregon Ducks, 11-2, Pac-12 conference runners-up. Only 2 losses this season were 3 points to the undefeated Washington Huskies. So they definitely well deserving of a 2 seed. They will face the Yale Bulldogs out of the Ivy League, 8-2. So that will be the 2-15 matchup. See if there can be a substantial upset in that one. The 7-10 matchup, Clemson out of the ACC at 8-4. They will host Maryland, 7-5 out of the Big Ten. Had some decent, looked pretty decent to begin the season, and then had 3 bad losses down the stretch. Still good enough to get in the tournament as a 10 seed. The number 3 seed here is Ole Miss. Only 2 losses were to Alabama and Georgia, 2 of the best teams in the country. Got the 10 wins again, I think, for the second year in a row. And they will host Furman, the Paladins, out of the SoCon. So let's see if that could be a high-scoring matchup here in the first round. The 6 seed Liberty Flames, 13-0, had one of the easiest strength of schedules in all of the country, but were only one of 5 teams to finish the regular season in the undefeated. And they get a 6 seed. They will host the UCLA Bruins, 7-5 Chip Kelly squad. Finally, or just barely gets into this tournament. They go to Virginia and get the Flames in the first round. Top 4 matchup in the Midwest. Michigan gets the 1, Oregon at the 2, Ole Miss at the 3, and Oklahoma State gets the 4. And over to the other side, the West region. The number 1 seed in this bracket is the aforementioned Washington Huskies, 13-0, beat Oregon twice, had the best strength of record according to ESPN, well deserving of a 1 seed. They will host Duquesne out of the Northeast Conference. So that is the 1-16 matchup. They will face the winner of this. Iowa State Cyclones at 7-5 out of the Big 12, facing Texas A&M, a 9 seed, also 7-5 team out of the SEC. So we'll see what that will be a pretty decent first round matchup. 8-9, Iowa State hosts the Aggies. 4 seed is Louisville, 10-3. They lost in the ACC championship game to Florida State. Had a couple of bad losses to Pittsburgh and Kentucky down the stretch, which could have got them maybe up to even a 2 seed if they would have won one or both of those. They will host Montana Grizzlies out of the Big Sky Conference. One of the best teams in the FCS for the better part of the last 5 years. This will be a really tough out for Louisville, and as the Grizzlies have been one of the best, like I said, dominating programs in the FCS level. So that'll be a very interesting matchup in the first round. 5 seed Kansas State Wildcats. They finished 8-4, but still had a very tough Big 12 slate, just like every single year. Didn't really turn out like they did last year, but hey, still got a 5 seed in this tournament. They will host UNLV Rebels. They hosted the Mountain West Conference Championship game, got the 9 wins. Faltered against Boise State, but still earned enough to get at least a 12 seed and get in this field of 64. Go down the list in the bottom half, Georgia Bulldogs ended their 29-game winning streak. The Alabama and SC championship game still did enough in the regular season at 12-1 to get a number 2 seed in this whole tournament. They will host Lafayette out of the Patriot League, so that'll probably be at least a 35 to 38 point spread. We'll have to see what the results are for that one. 7 seed goes to the American Championship champion SMU. 11-2, beat Tulane to to prevent the two-peat for them in the American. They will host Miami Hurricanes, a 10 seed out of the ACC, who could have been easily moved up to 1 or 2 lines if not for the biggest debacle I've ever seen against Georgia Tech. Could have got to 8 wins, but they get on the road to SMU in the first round. 3 seed Penn State, another just like Ole Miss. 2 of their losses were the 2 best teams of the country, Michigan and Ohio State. The rest of the teams, they had the biggest margin of victory for everybody else. So they host the 14 seed Austin Peay. So we'll have to see if that's even a close game because Penn State has annihilated everybody besides Ohio State and Michigan. So winner of that game will face the winner of this game, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits, the highest rated FCS team in the 3 years of me doing this bracket. 11-0. They beat the best Division II squad. They had a pretty hard FCS schedule, playing in the Missouri Valley, easily the best conference in the FCS. They will host Texas Tech, a team that had high hopes going into the season but kind of faltered, but finished 6-6. We'll see if they can actually upset the Jackrabbits, who are actually a slim 2 or 3 point favorite over the Red Raiders in this conference, in this tournament. Top 4 seeds in the West region: Washington 1, Georgia 2, Penn State 3, and Louisville at 4. Going down to the South region, the 1 seed in this bracket is the Texas Longhorns, your Big 12 champs. Beat Alabama on the road, beat Oklahoma State in the conference championship game. Only loss was to Oklahoma in a very tight, close game at the end. They will deserving in the 1 seed. They will host NC Central, the champions of the MEAC. So the winners of that game will face James Madison. They are independent, could not go to the conference championship game in the Sun Belt, still finished with only 1 loss, 11-1, one of the best group of 5 teams in the entire country by far. They will host UNC, so it'll be a close matchup. James Madison's in Virginia, UNC is obviously here in North Carolina, and we'll see if James Madison come out with a victory over the great offense but very lackluster defense of the Tar Heels. Oregon State, team that had high hopes but still finished at 8-4. They were a 5 seed. Probably, again, the Pac-12 is deep is this whole season, so their 4 losses are pretty good losses according to all the metrics. They will host the MAC champion Miami University Redhawks. So we'll see if that's going to be upset brewing because Miami started to play against Toledo in that conference championship game. So number 4 seed LSU, 9-3, one of the best offense in the nation, but their defense is just that poor. Got the 3 losses, but still play in the SEC. 3 losses were good teams. They will host Northwestern Wildcats, one of the last teams in this tournament, one of the lowest predicted win totals for this entire season. Predicted only had 1 win last year, got to 7-5 this year. One of the best turnarounds in the history of the game. Northwestern comes in at 13 seed. Going on the bottom half of the list, Ohio State 11-1, has one of the better resumes in the country. Only loss was to Michigan, the number 1 overall seed on the road. So there's no sour notes for the Buckeyes. I mean, they do it. They're handed in front of them and they just couldn't do it. Still getting one of the best top 8 teams in the country. They will host Gardner-Webb out of the Big South Conference champions. The winner of that game will face the winner of this game. Number 7 seed Kansas Jayhawks finished 8-4, even improved out their win total from last year, 6-6. They will host Southern Cal, a team that went completely in the opposite direction as Kansas did. Finished 7-5, got to 11 wins last year. The defense is still horrendous, but we'll see if this could be a high-scoring affair in Lawrence, Kansas. 3 seed in this one, Missouri Tigers, one of the most surprising teams in the entire country this year. Finished 10-2, only lost to LSU and Georgia, 2 of the better teams in the SEC. They will host Albany, who won the Coastal Conference along with Villanova. So this will be a pretty good matchup because Albany is one of the higher-rated FCS teams in the entire country. See if they can pull a massive upset here and go at Missouri. Number 6 seed NC State finished 9-3, which any of the other 4 Power 5 conferences that might be very impressive, but for the ACC it really isn't. Still get a home game against Auburn Tigers, which obviously you guys know the 4th and 31. They could have had a lot higher seed, could have had a lot better for their season, but they finished 6-6. Still make the tournament as one of the last remaining teams in the field. Top 4 seeds for this region: Texas at 1, Ohio State at 2, Missouri 3, and LSU is 4. Finally, the last region, the East region. The number 1 seed in this region goes to the Alabama Crimson Tide, 12-1, beat Georgia, ended their 29-game winning streak, had pretty good wins against LSU and Ole Miss to go out through the season. They were well deserving in the one of the 4-1 seeds in this tournament. They will face Nicholls State out of the Southland Conference, one of the weakest FCS teams, but we'll see what the spread is for this and what's going to happen. The winner of that will play Tulane out of the American Conference, got to 11 wins, at least 11 wins for the second year in a row. Lost on the American Championship game, but still did enough as one of the better Group of 5 teams that are in a home playoff game in the first round. They will face Duke, a team that has kind of faltered since that first month and a half stretch. Obviously, they don't have their quarterback, so that has a lot to do with it. But either way, they get awarded with a 9 seed, finishing 7-5 this year. 5 seed, Iowa Hawkeyes. Through all their massive amount of injuries and how bad their offense has been, they still got the 10 wins. A remarkable feat by the squad, playing even in the weaker division of the Big Ten. Still earn a top 5 seed. They will face Toledo Rockets. Yes, they did not win their conference, but they still had one of the better at-large resumes for a Group of 5 squad. Finished 11-2. We're borderline going to get the Group of 5 spot for the BCS Bowls, but they get a 12 seed in this tournament in the first round. Finally, Arizona, 9-3, one of the better turnarounds in the recent years. They went 1 win 2 years ago, now they got the 9 wins of the Pac-12. Very, very tough Pac-12. They will host Boise State out of the Mountain West, 8-5 squad, who kind of came out of nowhere to win their conference championship. So Arizona gets them in the first round. Going down the bottom list, number 2 seed is the Florida State Seminoles. Yes, how they finished did not translate to what their overall success of the season was, but they still get a 2 seed and will host Florida A&M in the first round. Only losses to an FBS squad, finished undefeated in FCS, and one of the better teams in the entire country. Definitely the best team in their conference, the SWAC. 7 seed, Troy out of the Sun Belt Conference champs. Second year in a row, get to 11 wins for the second year in a row. They will host Kentucky Wildcats, a 10 seed out of the SEC. But really good defense, very bad offense, still get a 10 seed. They have to travel to Alabama to face Troy in the opening round. 3 seed Oklahoma beat Texas, then faltered against Kansas and Oklahoma State. Still did enough with all their the Big 12, how deep the Big 12 is to get a 3 seed. They will host Villanova, one of the co-champs out of the Coastal Athletic Conference. This will be a very interesting matchup. They actually tied with they lost to Albany, but Albany's still a really good team. Villanova finished 9 wins this year. No, only other loss was the FBS squad, so we'll have to see if this one's a lot closer than it should be. Finally, the 6th seed is Utah out of the Pac-12 again. The Pac-12 is deep, but it got to 8 wins, but their 4 losses were kind of especially without their quarterback. And they will host the last team in the tournament, the Wisconsin Badgers. First year for Luke Fickell, finished 7-5. Not what they thought they could be, but at the same time, still got the 7 wins. Not many teams can actually say that. So, going down the list for the East, the top 4 seeds: Alabama at 1, Florida State 2, Oklahoma at 3, and Arizona at the 4 seed. Now, the final few teams that just missed it were on the bubble, didn't get in there: UCF, Wyoming, Rutgers, App State. New Mexico State had 10 wins, but they were 10-4. 3 of those losses were to very bad teams. So Fresno State just couldn't cut it. They faltered. Syracuse, North Dakota State, all these teams, they just were almost there, but just didn't get quite over the hump to finally get in the tournament. So that is the tournament, guys. That is part 1 of the selection show. Join me next time for part 2, and we'll head and do this entire matchup, going from the first round of 64 all the way till we crown a national champion in Houston. See you then, guys.